Knitters finally have a reality TV show all for themselves. The Game of Wool is an 8-episode competition in the search to find Britain's best knitters. The format is very Great British Bake Off meets Project Runway, but with yarn. The show is hosted by charismatic Olympian Tom Daley, who grew a big audience of knitters by being an Olympian medalist who also knits, and especially knits in the breaks of his Olympian career while in the Olympics. Each week has a different theme and a solo challenge and weirdly a group challenge. And each week one of the contestants wins Big Knitter of the Week and another gets cast off, which is what they're using to mean eliminated. Since its release, the Game of Wool has been a big topic of conversation among the knitwear and fiber arts community. A lot of people have been disappointed or irritated by a lot of aspects of the show. Some examples are the tagline of the show is to find Britain's best knitter, but a lot of the challenges are crochet challenges or mixed knit or crochet challenges. The contestants have very varying levels of crochet or knit abilities. It's not a level playing field. The judging seems to be a little bit biased and not judging very fairly. And also just the main concept of the show being having to knit or crochet one project, one garment in 12 hours straight under pressure. That doesn't seem to be a very pleasurable concept for a lot of fiber artists. On the other hand, I've seen quite a few people complaining that the knitting community will discourse itself out of existence or something less dramatic. But essentially, a lot of people are okay with the show. They find it entertaining enough and it's nice to have knitting representation on the mainstream, and they're worried that with the amount of criticism, the show will not exist anymore. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like the visibility. I like knitting in the mainstream. I like a little bit of like gossipy, like drama-ish parts of the show. I also do agree with a lot of the criticism going on, and I also think that hate watching is still watching. If people are watching to complain, they're still watching, the numbers are still up. I don't think that the discourse will be something that stops the show from being renewed. If the numbers aren't high enough, they won't renew. If the numbers are good, they will renew. Today though, I want to zoom in one specific episode, episode 3, the swimwear challenge. And unlike a lot of the discourse that I've seen, I don't fully agree with the general take. I want to talk about why knitted swimwear is absolutely a thing, why this show approached it in the worst possible way, and I'm actually going to be recreating the winning swimsuit of the challenge and using it on water. Yes, I'm going to the beach for this video. We're doing science today. Hi, my name is Carolina. This is Carolina's Closet. Welcome to my channel. I like to crochet. I knit mainly on a vintage domestic knitting machine. I also sew. I like to make things and share with you my process. And importantly for this video, the whole of this past year, I actually have been knitting and crocheting swimwear, bikinis specifically. I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking the video, and if you have anything you want to say and comment it as you watch the video down below. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. I'll do a very quick recap of the contestants and the show till now. This is a British show that airs in Channel 4. I don't have access to it, but I watch it fully on YouTube. There are several people uploading the whole episodes online, and also there are some very good video essays talking about episode by episode. I especially love Deborah Knits. She's not only recapping episode by episode, sharing a little bit of her opinions, but she has also been bringing some information about the contestants nowadays, how they've been interacting, and the judges as well as the brands. So I feel like her recaps are very, very well-rounded. The contestants are Holger, Gordon, Lydia, Dipti, Tracy, Elsa, Metal, Isaac, Simon, and Stephanie. They're labeled as amateurs in the show, but some of them are quite advanced. In episode 1 for the solo challenge, they're supposed to knit a Fair Isle vest, and the motifs must represent something about their life. Because it's a 12-hour challenge, they must use quite a chunky needle to do Fair Isle, which is not traditional. For the group challenge, they actually must knit a sofa cover in groups of 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken. The contestant that got eliminated, Gordon, actually used sticking on his vest, and that was painted in a very bad light for the show, and he actually couldn't complete his vest, but it wasn't due to the sticking, but the show painted it as the sticking is what made him lose. The winner of this week was Elsa. For the second episode, it was Icon's week. They were supposed to make a two-piece dog outfit with a little hat. And for the group challenge, they're supposed to all make one jumper that is 80s inspired, and it should look like only one person made it. The winner of the week was Hoger, and Meadow was eliminated. At this point in the show, we tell that the judges aren't really judging on technique, but they are judging mostly on aesthetics and color choices. So episode 3, holiday week. Here they start with a little beach shot and Tom Daly going on a swim, and then they present the challenges, and I will be focusing on the solo challenge because that's what I want to talk about, which is to crochet or knit swimwear. And it's supposed to be inspired by a holiday of theirs, and it's supposed to be glam for some reason. They're supposed to either do a two-piece, a one-piece, or trunks, and if they chose to do trunks, they are going to have to do a little accessory. Our judge is an Olympic diver, and will be bringing his Olympic colleagues to model the final projects. So I understand why this challenge is a thing. We get to judge the contestants on the construction and making a garment that is very well fit to the body because it's supposed to hold up on water, and also we get to see Olympic people. But the show is filmed in the UK and aired in November, December, which I get it, are cold months in the Northern Hemisphere. Also, this Piping Islands, I'm not sure the UK has a very big beach culture. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I know that I lived in the UK for one singular year and I didn't even consider taking my swimwear there. It feels a bit disconnected of a challenge, but I understand why it's there. Right off the bat, we have a little bit of a step back, side eye reaction because I feel like a lot of people are not used to crocheting or knitting swimwear. That wasn't my reaction. Here's the thing, if I was judging or if I just wanted some knit or crocheted swimwear, there'll be two things that are the most important: the fit and the function. It has to fit the body very well, even a bit snugly to hold on in water. It has to go underwater just fine and not feel weird against the skin. It also must come out of the water just fine and dry relatively fast, so I don't feel wet throughout the day if I'm not inside the water. For the game of wool and its judges, the most important thing is how glam it looks, which I find sad, frankly. Now let's talk about the big misunderstanding. You absolutely can knit swimwear. I myself have been knitting quite a few this year. After all, actual swimwear that you buy on store, that you buy online, is a knitted fabric. Now yes, that one is made with industrial level machines, and the knit itself is very, very tiny, done by very, very tiny needles with like threads of yarn, and it's not at the same scale that we knit and crochet. The format of the fabric is still a knit fabric. It's a fabric that stretches out and comes back. I feel like the big misconception comes from people's experience with their own work. People will use cotton and linen, wool, mohair and acrylic, fuzzy acrylics, and they know that when they get that wet, it kind of feels very soggy, it wouldn't feel good against the skin. So logically, you wouldn't use this medium to make swimwear that's supposed to get wet. And I feel like even the show approaches it like this, which I think is so sad because it's wrong. Now, I really don't want to be rude. I swear I don't want to be rude. But why would you think of using these fibers to make swimwear? If you have any swimwear, or if you just go online to purchase swimwear from any brand, it doesn't matter if it's cheap or if it's very expensive, it's always made out of the same fibers. It's spandex, it's lycra, it's polyester, it's polyamide. It never is cotton. It never is linen. It's never wool. Sometimes it's acrylic, but it's a specific kind of acrylic. So these are the types of fibers used to make functional swimwear that you use. So these are the types of fibers that you have to use to make your swimwear. We're not reinventing the wheel. We want to make something that already exists. We just want to make it ourselves, make it our own prints, our own styles, but it exists and it's functional. So you have to look at what exists and works and try to make it yourself. Bikini yarn made to go on water and come out and get relatively dry with elastic, does exist. I have a lot of it. Now, I understand that you might have never heard of it because it might not be very big where you live. I've always known about bikini yarn because I live in a tropical country with a very big beach culture. Before I even crocheted, I used to go to the craft supply shop and there always was bikini yarn. This yarn specifically, this is the biggest one. I would go to the beach and there's always someone selling the bikinis that they had made themselves that are wearable in water. But if you live in a colder climate, if you live in a place where these yarns are just not a thing, then you wouldn't know about them, which is okay. It's normal to not know things. But this is why a knitting show that chose to do a swimwear challenge should have brought these kinds of yarns to the show and talked about it with the viewer and the contestants because they could also not know about these, and make an actual doable challenge, a challenge that doesn't feel like a gimmick, like something that doesn't make sense, because it does make sense. It just has to be done right. This is what bikini yarn looks like. It's very sleek. It doesn't really have that much fuzz. It kind of feels very satiny. It has a little bit of elasticity to it and it leathers so fast. It's so slippery. It's very thin, so you would have to use a very thin needle or hook. And because it's a little bit elastic, I find it better to use a very tight gauge to make it actually, compact, so it holds what it has to hold. This one is the one that I use the most. It's by the biggest yarn brand in Brazil. The yarn brand is called Círculo. The yarn is called Verano. This is like a standard bikini yarn you can find in most yarn supply shops in Brazil. They don't have that many color options actually, but it's a very good yarn. This one I only used one time. It's called Bikini. It's by the brand Penguin. It's a Brazilian brand. This one has a big acrylic composition, so it's a little cheaper, but it does work. It has spandex and it has polyester, and the way that it's made is made to use in water. This one is the best one that I've used so far. It's very good. A lot more expensive than those two. It has a lot more spandex on it, so you have to really take care of your gauge to work with it. This is by Escola de Artes Manuais, which is a brand made by a very big crochet content creator in Brazil. Her name is Ani Galante, and she made her own yarn brand, and she made this yarn that is very good. I used it for the first time in this video right now that you're watching, and I loved it. And these are some bikinis and swimsuit that I made myself with these yarns. This one is the first one that I showed you, the Verano one. Is a cutout swimming suit. I used it to the ocean. I used it to the pool. It has the jacquard leathering effect inside, which I do like because I feel like it gives more coverage. This was the first one that I ever did, is a two-piece. This is also with the Verano yarn. The hands on the bottom are crocheted and the rest is machine knit, but you can do it by hand. I have a crochet set, and yes, it is quite small. I did use the linked double crochet to make mine, so I didn't bother to line it. I did use it to the ocean, and it is small, but it does cover the bits, and I actually almost drowned wearing this one, and it stayed. Because I used the linked double crochet, it doesn't start stretching out too much, but it is common practice among people who crochet bikinis to add lining on the inside, like fabric lining, and hand stitch it on the piece. I also made these shorts to match with the top that I just showed you, and this one I actually made it a little bit, so I added some elastic inside, and it does work on water. I just don't usually go swimming in shorts, but I can go swimming like with these. It feels like a wetsuit, those diving surfer suits. It gets very compact. Oh, and I'm wearing one. I'm wearing these straight knit blue ones with a crocheted scallop edge here for the details. I also have not lined these. I made these in the machine, and I love these. Are the best ones that I ever did, especially the bottoms for these ones. But anyway, you absolutely can knit and crochet swimwear. The Brazilians have been doing it for ages. We have specific yarn for that. And I understand this show is not based in Brazil. The show is based in the UK. But they chose to do a swimwear challenge. It does feel like not even the judges or like the producers knew about this kind of yarn, which again, it's okay. Like, I know a lot about the Brazilian yarn. I have researched, and there is a French brand that does bikini yarn. It's called Chemade Paris. They made the Contrapoint yarn. Evia Lupi Studio, who has some amazing hand knitwear. She uses it to make swimming suits, and it works perfectly, seems to, by her photos and videos. There's this brand called Himalaya Bikini, and there's also Alice Diva Stretch. Alice Diva and Chemade Paris are both European. So if they had done research, they could talk about this in the show. This challenge works. The challenge is a very interesting knitwear crochet challenge, but it was done completely wrong. It's not a challenge for the show specifically. Imagine this. The same premise. Holiday week. They will need to knit a swimwear inspired by a holiday of theirs. No glam. No glam. They inform the contestants about polyamide, stretch, elastic, lycra yarn that works and was made to be worn to swim, to make bikinis, because the contestants and the viewers might not know about it. They tell the contestants that this might be a little bit of a challenge because they have to knit or crochet with quite a tight gauge. They have to do something that fits the body, so it has the curves and shapes of the body, and it has to be inspired by a holiday. And in the end of this challenge, they actually do a water test. So the Olympians need to use these garments to swim or dive, and it's going to be fun to show these Olympians' abilities on this show. What an interesting challenge. It's a well-rounded and it works. But instead, from the very start of the challenge, they never act as if the swimwear is going to be used on water. Even one of the contestants, Holger, he says, oh, this is more of a posing trunk. No one's ever gonna wear this on water. Throughout the episode, they're clearly not using yarn made for water. You can tell in the fit, and you can tell just by the way they're doing it. And they were briefed that the bikinis and swimwear is going to be worn on top of a clear nude underwear, which is a shame because it defeats the purpose of swimwear. No one's going to use swimwear with underwear underneath because underwear is not made for water. Swimwear is. This just wouldn't work in this show because this is a sponsored show. It's sponsored by Rowan and Wool and the Gang, and neither of these brands have bikini yarn, so they couldn't, even if they knew of the existence of bikini yarn, they couldn't bring it to the show because it's a sponsored show. On top of that, bringing this challenge for this show is silly. I know they brought it because of Tom, who, by the way, has never crocheted or knit swimwear. He should have been the one who learned about it because he's a diver. He's constantly on water wearing trunks. He should have been the one making this kind of research and understanding a little bit about bikini yarn, knowing it's possible, and then bringing it to the show, showing some of his pieces as an example of what can be done. But it wasn't, because I don't think he has ever used bikini yarn, which again is okay. They're not from Brazil. They're not from a country where this is commonplace and common knowledge and used and made. But they should have known about it and got informed before doing this kind of challenge. Also, this is a very PG friendly, family friendly show, and bikinis are inherently controversial. There are a lot of people who are not okay with this amount of skin being shown. Bikinis are essentially like the socially acceptable underwear to wear in public. Not everyone is okay with that. Not everyone's comfortable with that. And especially social media is not really that acceptable of bikinis. Of course, there are bikini models and people who post a lot with bikinis and shows that are catered to that. But those shows, they already have a predisposed audience that is used with this kind of like this amount of skin being shown, because in a knitting show, the audience doesn't necessarily want to see bikinis. Some of the judges judge bikinis in like how small they are in a way that I don't think is fair, because bikinis can be very small. You use them in the beach to sunbathe. Anyway, bikinis show a lot of scene, so it's kind of hard to show it on TV. It's hard to show it on social media. If you look at the social media platforms for the show and for Channel 4, there is no mention of this part of the episode, the solo challenge where they make swimsuits, in any of the platforms, because they're not going to risk it and bring underwear bikinis, but they're not actually even bikinis, they're just underwear, to social media, because they risk getting demonetized and their posts getting shadow banned. I know that because I have posted bikinis, like me making bikinis on like social media platform, and sometimes I spend like 90% of the video just knitting a swimsuit, and then I show the like final 10 seconds of the video is me showing the bikini in the beach, me swimming with it, just to show that it's possible to knit a bikini. I've had videos with like over 1 million views get demonetized due to nudity. So it is a risky subject to bring online, and even on like a PG family friendly channel, like time slot. So it is not a challenge that works with this show in the way that it's done. This challenge could have been done in a right way. It just wasn't. And I think that can be said for a lot of challenges throughout this show. But this is the one that like made me madder, because I have been crocheting and knitting swimwear this year. And I feel like a lot of people don't know about bikini yarn. So I feel like it'd be nice to talk to you and share with you guys the fact that you can knit swimwear. You just have to do it with the right yarn. The rant part is over. I have informed you guys about bikini yarn. But now let's talk about the episode, because I do want to use this moment here to talk about the pieces that the contestants made, and also I want to recreate the winning swimsuit and wear it on water, just to show proof of concept, show to you guys that you absolutely can. What was made in the show? Dipti did a granny square 2-piece of metallic yarn inspired by her trip to Vegas. Holger used the granny stitch to create trunks, and his accessory was a string vest. Lydia knit a 1-piece with lace detail in the center based on a trip to Australia. Elsa did a 1-piece made out of crochet diamonds inspired by her trip to Venice. Simon crocheted trunks with some circle patches to represent mouse ears inspired by his trip to Disney. Stephanie crocheted a 2-piece with surface details inspired by her trip to Seychelles. Tracy crocheted a lacy 2-piece with some flower details inspired by her trip to the Isle of Right. And Isaac is knitting trunks with some intarsia and some surface knit based on his trip to the New River Gorge in West Virginia. Now, I know that the judges and the challenge itself wasn't thinking about functionality. They didn't give the right yarn for the contestants. The way that they were briefed, they knew that this was going to be worn over underwear, so they could make it open, they could make it see-through, which I think is silly, because you're already only making like 2 tiny pieces of clothes. Why are you making it see-through? But anyway, so okay, none of these are functional. None of them were made with bikini yarn, so they're not going to go on water. If they were, which of them would work and would be a good bikini in my opinion? Which doesn't matter to anyone, it's just my opinion. So for the boys' trunks, we have Simon's, Holger's, and Isaac's. Now, Holger is very advanced, so his granny stitch shorts fit very well. It looks amazing. But I will say the show, from what I watched, seems to be against mixed media. And these trunks need to be lined for it to work as a functional piece. Now, I know that if he wasn't told that they were going to use nude underwear underneath, he probably would have done something less see-through.
When I filmed this, I was speaking from memory, and honestly, the granny stitch is quite compact and it's not that much holy. I do stand by the fact that granny stitch is usually lined when done in bikini yarn, just for modesty's sake, to be sure there's nothing showing. When filming, I said these wouldn't be functional because they're so holy, but I don't think that's true. Would be better with lining, but I think they would work like this, and they're very, very well fit. And if they were done with bikini yarn, they would be even more like snug. So I was mistaken.
And Simon's is really strange. I'm sorry, I just don't like it. The gauge is very open. It's like a very open stitch, which wouldn't really work with swimwear. You have to do something very compact and as tight gauge as possible, so that even if it stretches out a little bit, you can see through it. Also, the lace-up detail on the side really bad would come undone on water. Now Isaac's is actually the only pair of trunks that would actually work on water. It would be very usable if it was done with bikini yarn. Someone could swim, go out in and out of the water with it just fine. Now aesthetically, yeah, I do think the Hogers is prettier. It makes more sense visually. I do like Isaac's. It's just not glam, but he never went to a glam vacation. Like, that's not his fault. He went climbing. I do think that Isaac, just like me, he's very literal, so he does stuff very literally. I don't personally like the initials of the place he went on the bump. I would just take that out.
I just want to say that I think it's very funny that he did a little mountain climbing person right on the, you know, the crotch, on the mountainous part of the trunks. But instead of overstitching, if he had done that in Intarsia and ditched the letters altogether, I don't know, I think it'd be funnier design wise, it'd be cuter.
For the one pieces, we have Lydia's and we have Elsa's. Lydia's is very good. She did such a good shaping. Like, she shaped it so well. I don't particularly like the seam in the middle, but I'm not really good with hand knitting. I'm assuming that needed to be done to start the next part. It fits the model very well. It's just an overall well done swimsuit that, if done in bikini yarn, would work. And Elsa's is really nice. It looks very well covered. The only thing that I would be concerned is that it is judged as a one piece, but it seems to be a two piece. But the top part, the diamonds go down and reach the underwear, so it looks like a one piece, like something that I did here, like where the belly is just smaller and the back looks like a bikini and the front looks like a swimming suit. But it does seem like it's two separate pieces. If the front bit is not stitched to the underwear, which is what it looks like, I'm not sure if it is or not, it would flop out if someone wore it on water, because it would just like swim up. I don't think it would feel very comfortable, because you'd just be swimming with something flopping up. Only thing that I will mention, because I will get to that, they do not show the back of the underwear in Elsa's design, because our next and last category is the two pieces. And I have so many thoughts about this part. Now, what is mostly talked about when it comes to this challenge and like the fails, I guess, is Dipty's two-piece granny triangles with a metallic shiny yarn, which technically I think is the most glam out of all of them, because it has this like metallic shiny yarn that would not work as a bikini. But you can totally hold one of these with a metallic strand of like a lurex, like a very thin metallic thread, which I think would look great. Hers is the one that like is shocking, because if you see it on the model, it became a thong.
You can see that they pull the underwear up all the way. It even bulges the top, like the granny squares here. They don't look like they're flat on the body. And I think that shows in the front as well. It's a little bit bulgy. It kind of gives off like an unflattering effect.
It doesn't look like the fit is very good for the bottom. Now, I don't like that it's a granny square, because as I mentioned with Holgers, it's a very, very open stitch. And if there's no lining, it doesn't work, because it's fully see-through and it starts like getting looser faster as well. But if it was lined, it'd be okay, but the metallic thread I don't think is good for water. The busts look good. Tracy did like a lacy stitch, but she did like a very nice circle in the center to cover the nipples. The shaping is really good. The underwear on Tracy's looks good from the front. It is very holey, so if it was to be done in bikini yarn, needs a lining. You don't get to see the back of Tracy's design, and on the hanger it looks very small, and it feels like it would be very thongy as well. And it was a very big problem in Dipty's design, the thong of it all, because it wasn't intentional. Tracy's, we don't know if it's thongy or not. We don't know about Elsa's as well, because it is very hard to get it right, because knit and crochet, they might roll in a little bit when you measure it right, but then they can get a little too thin and stretch out. So the under, like the perineal the perineal region is a hard part to get right as well, because it stretches, and if you don't factor in the stretch, it can get too big. It happens. We don't get to see the back of Tracy's. And then on Stephanie's, and I just want to say Stephanie was robbed, because hers was genuinely the best out of the bikinis. It is full coverage. The shape was very well done, both in the cups and in the underwear. She did some surface crochet with palm trees and like like beach elements, which to me it does look a little childish, and we know that the show does value more like colors and aesthetics than the technical of it all. But it is such a good and well shaped bikini, especially in comparison to the other two. Like Tracy's is okay, but Dipty's didn't work out, and Stephanie's is full coverage. It would work if it was done with bikini yarn. It would fully work like that on water. It wouldn't even need a lining. It would be good to add lining to keep it in shape for like years, but it is good. And the back was very criticized. They were like, oh, this is a skimpy underwear. It's a bit on the skimpier side. No, it's not. Like, it's literally not. And I think this is just like a culture difference. But that bikini bottom, the back of it looks perfect. It's so well done. Here, that is so like a normal bikini bottom. That's not cheeky. That's not skimpy. It's just literally a normal bikini bottom. You cannot find bigger bikini bottoms here, bigger than that, because that is like the standard for like a well-respected bikini bottom shape. If it's so right, if it's like right in the middle, it holds, like has enough coverage for like a little bit. You're going to the beach, like it's for a vacation. You're not supposed to, I mean, you wear whatever you want. Like, it's okay if you don't want to wear something like that, if you wouldn't feel comfortable wearing something like that. But factually, it's not like skimpy. It's not a thong, which I don't mind a thong. Like, I don't wear thongs, but like a thong is a style that people like. It's not for everyone, but the one that Stephanie made is genuinely okay. Like, it's good. Okay, like I get it that the group challenge that I don't care to talk about, they had to crochet a beach chair. I've never seen a beach chair like that, and it doesn't work with crochet or knit because it stretches out. So yeah, like the group challenge did factor in the choice of like who won and who got eliminated, but Stephanie got eliminated, and that to me is just vile. Like, it's so genuinely wrong, because I'm thinking more about this solo challenge, and literally like Lydia, Simon's, and maybe even Tracy designs are all worse than Stephanie's when it comes to like functionality. Actually, even Holger's, which controversial because Holger is like the best in the competition, but his functionally, if it didn't have a lining, would be worse than Stephanie's. I started doing this video, I considered doing the best bikini and the worst, like the one that got eliminated, and I was thinking, oh, I have to do dipties, but I didn't have time to do that. I didn't really want to do a granny square crochet bikini because I'm not gonna wear it. It's kind of a waste of yarn. I went to rewatch the show, and Stephanie lost, and I was genuinely baffled. I didn't remember because Stephanie's not that bad. Out of the bikinis, the best functionally wise. Now, the one that won was Lydia's. It's so solid, it's so good, it looks beautiful. Her design in the whatever knit fiber that they use looks very well fit, and she knit in the circle, very well structured. She did the cup shaping as well, and I decided to recreate her design to show you guys a little bit of a knitting swimwear done with a right yarn, so functional, in case you've never seen any of my other videos. Just a little bit about my process. So I do knit on a domestic vintage knitting machine. It's an old machine from like the 50s and 70s. It doesn't even go on power. It's mechanical, so it's like manually operated. It is faster than hand knitting. I know that I am actually very bad at hand knitting. I haven't practiced it for long because machine knitting is my preferred medium. I like making clothes, so I like to use this machine to make my clothes. Hand knitting, you do stitch by stitch. In machine knitting, I do row by row. If I was to do this project in hand knitting, first of all, I would take forever because I'm bad at hand knitting, and I would probably double the yarn to make it faster, because yes, this is a thin yarn. To make something in the time that the show asks for, like the 12-hour time, I would have to double or triple the yarn to make it faster. Also, about copying designs, copying other creators' designs is something that is very, it's a very nuanced topic, but generally you don't like to copy someone's work, especially like step by step, because like, use your own creativity. I get that. In this situation, I just want to recreate one of the show's swimsuits because I want to show that can be done. Like, those designs, they do work on water. They just have to be done with the right yarn. She did knit on the round, and she did some beautiful decrease and increase work. I am doing some decrease and increase work, but on the flat, so it's a little bit different. And also, I just like to mention that the show is like the sponsors, Wall in the Gang and Rowan are doing kits with the items created on the show so that people can recreate them for themselves. From everything that I understand, the contestants are not being compensated for their work being sold in these platforms. So in this case, I felt very okay copying this specific design. For the purpose of this video here, I won't be selling this, not even the pattern, not the piece, the final piece. Okay guys, so this is the lace stitch. So this is tension 6 on the blue, tension 4 on the blue, and this is tension 2. And I'll take out this comb here. This is just what I use to put the weights on. And already you can see that it shrunk so much from it being like pushed out with the comb. And now I'll take this out. This sound is so satisfying. And look, it already shrunk so much. Look, it's barely see-through now. So I made a swatch and I calculated the pattern, and honestly I would love to see a little section in each episode about the work that they have to do before they start knitting, like the pattern making and construction and how they idealize their project, because they do already come, especially for the solo challenge, they do already come to the show and they just start knitting, so they know what's gonna happen and they have already planned for it. I would love to see the pattern making, because for me, I took 2 hours, actually a little bit more than 2 hours, to calculate this pattern, and I just love to see how the creators do it, like how the contestants do it, because it is a very interesting part of creating knitted and crochet garments, especially if you are a fiber artist and you're watching the show because you love fiber art. I think it's a very nice part of the process that they fully took out and we don't get to see. It's unfortunate. So I just finished my pattern. I took around 2 hours to write it, and I'm a little bit concerned just because I think this is the most tense swatch I have ever done. We have like 7 rows per 1 centimeter. I have never worked with such an intense amount of stitches, and because of that, I'm worried that I did it all wrong. I'm also worried that I won't have enough yarn. I also have never used this specific yarn. I have used this quite a few times, and this one's heavier. Also, I just had this yarn laying around because I've been crocheting and knitting bikinis this year, so I have been buying a little bit of bikini yarn, and I didn't buy the exact same shades that Lydia used on her design. This blue is kind of similar to the one that she has, and then the middle, I'm using the white, like off-white ivory. And then for the top, I will end up using this green. It's very different from the one that she uses. I just didn't want to buy more yarn for this because I have so many. The way that I designed my pattern is basically one long thing. It goes from back to front. I just prefer to do things in one panel if I can, because I don't like to cast off, and cast on is easy, but cast off is annoying. I will start in the back is straight, and then I will go down, decreasing just a little bit on the sides so it reaches a narrower measurement for the waist, and then I will increase a bunch because my waist to hip ratio is a little big. So I will open quite a few stitches. I'm opening like 44 stitches total, 22 in each side, to reach the hip measurement, and then I'll decrease a lot so that I reach the narrow part for the panties part, and then I'll stitch for a few rows, and then I'll do the same thing in reverse. And then on the boob part, I will do a completely different thing. I will use partial knit to create a boob shape, and then I will decrease here. I intend on adding elastic on the back and on the front. I only have today to work on this before I head to the beach, so I hope I can do this today. I'm knitting with the machine, and they did it in 12 hours by hand, which is a lot more time consuming, so I hope I'm able to. I will use a little bit of elastic. It will give more structure and it will hold it up. The way that we knit in the machine is pretty much stockinette, so it does roll a lot, so I'll use an elastic to keep it in place, hopefully. This is all I have to say. I hope it works.
I just finished the hem. Took a little while, like half an hour. Now I just need to knit straight, decreasing every 20 rows for 90 rows. That's gonna be really fast. 90 rows knit in under 9 minutes. Now it will take a little longer because I will do the lace bit. As you might be able to see from this angle, it is a little bit see-through, but it's severely stretched. This panel, can you see it's really big? It's supposed to be the size of my back. Based on the calculations, I hope they're right. I will use the white yarn. I have to remember to put all of the needles forward, knit the lace row, and then knit one more row. And now I will do the same thing. I'll just do it on the needle beside the needle that I did it on the last row. Guys, as I was knitting the lace panel, I was almost done. A lot of things happened all at once. I started losing a stitch, and as I mentioned, this yarn is very slippery. So if you lose a stitch, it falls down very fast. And with lace, you don't really like to lose stitches anyway because it's hard to find how the lace worked up. And with this yarn is even worse because it's very, very slippery. So I lost a stitch and I couldn't find my latch hook. In the machine we use a lot of the latch hook for cast off and to pick up stitches. And I couldn't find it. It was actually in the inside of the work, but I couldn't find it. I had a little glass jar full of spare needles for the machine. I reached to grab one to use it as a latch hook. It fell down from this table, which is a standing desk. So it fell down to the ground. It's shattered like all over the ground. I still couldn't find the latch hook. The stitch was falling. I even lost more stitches as all of this happened. And I was barefoot. So I was stepping on glass with my stitches falling down on a lace panel, and I couldn't for the life of me find my latch hook. All of this happened all of a sudden because I was working just fine on the lace panel, and then all of this happened all at once. And I was so upset. I kind of recorded this, but I sound so distraught that I kind of don't want to put it here. I don't know if I'm going to put a little clip of it. I made the executive decision of go back the full lace panel because I just knew it would be so hard to get it right. So I just picked up the green stitches, the last green row, and then I unraveled the full white, the full lace panel, and then I came back at night and I decided to finish this from one day to the others, like at night. We made it. And now I'm going to go with the blue. And I used a lot more of the white than I did of the green, which is strange because there's a lot of holes. I think this one is just has less yardage, I guess. Let's see how much of the blue I'm gonna use. All of the blue that I'm gonna use in one go, so we're gonna know by the end of this section. Now increase a lot to do the hip. And then right as I reach 278 rows, I will start decreasing a lot to make the panty part. I will be traveling in like 4 hours. So let's see if I'm actually able to get this out of the machine and then do the final touches. To increase, I actually just bring the needles forward on the side of the machine is at, and I have to remember to bring all the needles that are neighboring that one forward, so to make sure that there's enough tension, and the machine picks it up and I'm able to grow like this. I was supposed to grow 1 stitch per row, but instead I grew 2 stitches in each side every other row, so that I could grow only the stitches that were on the side of the car. For the decreases, I just use the transfer tool and get the stitch from one needle and place it on the neighboring one.
we are about to make some decisions, unpleasing to some, mainly me. So I don't know if I explained this at any point, but I am going to a sailing trip. I am leaving in 2.5 hours. Actually, que horas são?
1h45. 2h15.
Não, mas eu tenho que ir para 3h30.
Por que 3h30?
Poder tomar um banho. A gente vai sair às 4.
Você precisa tomar um banho?
45 minutes.
Não.
É, não.
Não. 1h45.
Okay, so I have exactly 1 hour and 45 minutes before I actually have to stop and pack my stuff to leave. I feel like I'm actually in the game of Wool and like Tom is here and say 1 hour and 40 minutes, guys. I don't know how to make an accent. So I could start the lace, because now I'm about to start the lace, or I can choose to do a plain white panel right now and then finish the top of the green, but then I'll be able to actually use my bathing suit in the ocean. The other option is to start the lace, not finish it, go to my trip, come back, finish it, and then show it to you guys in the shower. I think for aesthetic purposes, it will be nice to show the result in the ocean rather than in my shower. So I have in my heart made the executive decision of doing a plain white panel right now. I will keep it at tension 4 instead of going all the way down to the 1.2 because there are no holes. I'm sure 2 a.m. is not the time to experimentate, but I did write in my pattern a little cup shape for the boobs. I hope it works. Okay guys, I managed to finish the knitted part. It's already starting to de-stretch. I'm feeling hopeful. Let me see just this. Okay, I think it's gonna work out. I won't have time to do anything else, but I would like to sew the sides and then do a hem from here up and make it the strap. I won't be able to do that on the machine. I want to be able to do it by hand in crochet probably because I'm really bad at hand knitting, but I'll have to do that on my trip.
I'm so happy that I actually did change my mind and decided to not do the lace panel to be able to finish it, because I did. I took it on my trip, and my trip was a 4-day trip. I could only finish it on the very last day, like literally before we were heading home, but I did a invisible seam on the side since I did it a flat panel. And I did a single crochet, pulling it quite tightly on around the legs and on the arms, and I finalized with a scallop edge in crochet because I really don't love when I finalize knits with crochet, but I like the look of the scallop edge on knit. I don't love the look of just like single crochet on knit, so that's why I did the scallop edge. And I did a Romanian point lace cord for the straps, and I finalized around the straps with a scallop edge as well. And this is how it looks, guys. It totally worked. I didn't have time to weave in 100% of the thread, so there are a couple of loose threads because we were literally going home and we had to leave at that time to be able to reach the marina before the sun sets. So we had like limited amount of time, so I just really rushed to finish it. I did leave a few loose strands, but I was able to use it on the ocean to try it out for you guys, to show you it in action.
Vai.
just jumped in the ocean and now I'm just gonna let it dry naturally. The only thing that is not really that good is the straps. I made them too big. Apart from that, I love it. Hey guys, just a little update. I have been wearing this for around 3 hours. I'm not wearing anything underneath. It's pretty comfortable. It's just like a swimming suit. If you don't mind wearing a wet swimming suit for a few hours, that's the exact same feeling. If you don't like wet swimsuits, then yeah, you wouldn't like this. But it feels just like any other swimsuit. It's a little thicker than some bathing suits. I'm gonna keep wearing it, but yeah, this is 3 hours in. It has felt dried for a few hours, but it's not fully dried. Like it is a little damp, but it doesn't feel damp. It feels like it's dry. Yeah.
As you can see, this is the result, and it worked really well. There are a few things that I would have to change. For me, this was a good enough coverage. It does show a little bit of my bum, but I'm okay with that. I would actually make the whole thing a little bit smaller. It does feel like those like diving suits. It compresses the body a little bit. To put it on is like actually hard because you have to like really pull it in. It stretches, but like in a, you know, in a hard way. So I would actually make it a couple of rows thinner so it fits a little bit more snug against my body. The boob shaping didn't work as well as I wanted it to because this got a little bit to the side of the boob instead of the center. Here I'd have to make them a little bit more closer together. Also, I think I would grow this part a little bit. Even Lady's design is a little bit bigger here and less like centered. I would make this neckline a little bit wider and a little bit taller, just a little bit. I do like the scallop edges that I added. I know it's like a me thing, but I just love the scallop edge. I didn't go all the way around here. I just did leave the crotch area without the scallops, but when I was going around, so when I reached here, I just did more single crochets to keep it in place and make it a little bit thicker, although this is actually okay. So yeah, these are a few things about this design. Oh, and here is where the elastic is. It stays up really well. Now the yarn does help, but sometimes even the bikini yarn rolls in a little bit. So adding the elastic and stretching it as I edit in the machine makes it so it doesn't roll in too much and it gives a little bit more support, which I love. I did this first when I did this blue set on the underwear and I loved it. And yeah, this is my bathing suit. As you can see, it's very sturdy. It's like harsh. It's actually the first time that I used this yarn, the Praia one. I think it's my preferred one. It is a lot more expensive, but it goes a longer way. Quite a bit left of this skein, and for the blue I have only a little bit left of the blue, like, so I used almost a full skein for this bottom bib. I actually needed 2 skeins of the white for this part, which is actually smaller. So yeah, this one feels a lot better, it's a lot sturdier, and it lasts for longer. So it is more expensive, but I just love it. And this is from like a content creator who just does crochet for a living, so we know she knows the tea, you know, she knows how to do it. In case you're ever in Brazil and are able to buy this, I would highly recommend. So yeah, this is a little bit about this design that I did, inspired, pretty much trying to copy Lydia's design, just to show you that you absolutely can knit and crochet swimwear. Now, I know that I use my knitting machine, but it's really just like hand knitting on the flat, just a lot faster. My mom just finished working on a crochet bathing suit done with this exact same yarn, and she used a 3 or 3.5 millimeter needle, and it's up on her mannequin, so I'll just show you a little clip of it. I just wanted to show you that you absolutely can crochet and knit swimwear. It's something that you might not have known about, but now you do. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this phenomena that is happening in the knitting community. I wanted to be a little bit of a part of it, have it here, talk about it. And I watched this episode and I was like, I need to talk about this. I don't like the discourse. But yeah, if you're ever in Brazil and you want to buy one of these, come to Brazil, buy some bikini yarn. If not, I did mention some, like there's a French brand and a few European brands that do sell bikini yarn. Unfortunately, it's plastic. It's polyamide, it's lycra, it's spandex, but you're using some fabric to go on water. If you're doing bikinis that are going to go on water, they kind of need to be plastic. It was a good invention. It's just we shouldn't use it for every single thing in the world like we do. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and if you're ever able to, I hope you pick up some bikini yarn to make your own swimwear, because it is really nice. I hope I wasn't too harsh talking about this. It's just something that I feel kind of passionately. I don't know why. I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Carolina's Closet. I like to make stuff. I usually like to vlog my projects. I usually crochet or knit in the machine. Sometimes I sew. But I really am enjoying these kinds of videos where I talk through my process. So maybe I will do some more of these. I would love it if you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below whatever you want to comment down below. If you don't agree with me, if you agree with me, if you learned something new, what your thoughts are in the game of wool, which swimwear you thought was the best, which one you thought was the worst. If you disagree with me with the Stephanie take, I do think she was robbed. She made a better swimsuit than a lot of people there. Are you watching the game of wool? Would you like to watch it? I could watch the whole thing on YouTube, by the way. Yeah, comment down below whatever you want to comment down below. It helps me out a lot. I'll see you with a new video hopefully very soon.